As we travel towards the southwestern direction of Bangalore, some 150 kilometers away, we get close to Mysore. And this is the Srirangapatana Taluk in district Mandya, where one of the largest known irrigation channels in India, the 45-kilometer long Visvesvaraya canal of the Krishnaraja Sagar dam, along with other canals originating from this dam, irrigates over 125,000 acres of land in Mandya, Malavali, Nagamangala, Kunigal and Channapatna taluks, apart from Ramanagaram and Kanakapura in Karnataka. Also generating power and supplying drinking water to the cities of Mysore and Bangalore, the Krishnaraja Sagar Dam, popularly known as KRS, is a marvel of technology and state planning and one of the greatest achievements of Sir M Visvesvaraya. In his early career as a water resources engineer, Sir MV planned and designed water supply schemes for Kolhapur, Belgaum, Dharwad, Bijapur, Ahmedabad and Pune. When the Public Works Department of Bombay Presidency was faced with a challenge in early 1900 to increase the storage capacity of the Khadakwasla reservoir near Pune, without raising the height of the dam, Sir MV was the man who they pinned their hopes on. Similarly, in 1908, when Hyderabad was devastated by floods, Sir MV came to the rescue of the government of the Nizam of Hyderabad. Osman Sagar and Himayat Sagar dams were built on Sir MV's advice. And sometime later, when the 4th Maharaja of Mysore was at a loss about keeping a promise he had made to the administration of the Kolar Gold Fields, he could not look any further than Mokshagundam Visvesvaraya. Ensuring a steady supply of water to the generating station over 100 kilometers away at a place called Shivanasamudram, which fed the Kolar Gold Fields, was therefore a big reason behind setting up the Krishnaraja Sagar Dam. Sir MV was the man people looked to when in distress. Challenges thrown at Sir MV were countless and continuous, some administrative and a lot technical. And his most celebrated work, the Krishnaraja Sagar Dam, had both in ample measure. The estimated cost of rupees 253 lakh in the first decade of 1900 was an amount that the Mysore state had never spent on any single project. The scheme was opposed tooth and nail. They were of the opinion that the role of a bureaucrat was that of an administrator and not one of proposing innovative and creative development schemes. And here was Sir MV, who was convinced about the social purpose of this large engineering project, and soon upon approval of the Maharaja, the village Kannambadi started seeing a lot of surveying and construction activities by the beginning of 1911. And just 3 years after the KRS started getting built, World War I broke out. It did bother him, but his bigger worry was about impounding the waters of the river Cauvery by recourse to modern aspects of hydraulic engineering, especially when the principles of building large masonry dams were not too well understood those times. The biggest challenge though for Sir MV was to build the dam without the use of cement, since cement manufacturing was still in its nascent stage in the country, and it had to be imported at a high cost. So how did they do it? How did they build such huge civil structure without using cement? Looking east, they found that some 20 years earlier, 1889 to be precise, some enterprising Indian engineers had developed a special kind of mortar which was as good as cement, and they used it in the construction of this Visvesvaraya Sagar Dam across river Bhadravati at a place called Marikanve in the Chitradur district of today's Karnataka. They called it Surkhi mortar. The technique was further perfected on the KRS dam. Here we attempt a recreation of how the Surkhi mortar was obtained. The mortar used for the masonry was specially prepared at the site, burning the natural hydraulic lime and mixing it with burnt broken bricks in the ratio of 1:4 and grinding the mixture to a paste produced the Surkhi mortar.
देखिए अब बन गया.
The special mortar was found to possess certain superior qualities over cement mortar, and one of them is its ability to not let the temperature rise as much as cement when it sets. And what's more, building with Surkhi mortar does not produce any construction joints because rubble and stones get set in the mortar randomly before they harden. And that's how the body of the KRS Dam got built. Beginning in 1911, its construction progressed in stages. Completed between 1911 and 1934, the KRS, the very first big multi-purpose dam on the river Cauvery, was named after the fourth king of the princely state of Mysore, Maharaja Krishnaraja Chamarajendra Vodayar, during whose rule Sir M Visvesvaraya, popularly known as Sir MV, as the chief engineer of Mysore, designed and got the dam built. It was time for Cauvery to present several new phases of development, not seen earlier, apart from reaching deeper depths for mining. Mills and factories were now lit up. Sawmills and threshing machines were livelier. Crushing canes became faster. Ginning cotton and extracting oil was less drudgery prone. Water could be heated and rice could be cooked by electrical power. The most visible difference, however, was in the cultivation of sugarcane, since this perennial crop required water throughout the year. The production jumped several-fold. Sir MV, therefore, advised the government of Mysore to establish a white sugar factory for utilizing the large sugarcane produce. And this is how Mysore Sugar Company came into being. Even today, the district of Mandya continues to be a leading producer of sugar. And because commercial crops like mulberry and other horticultural crops could now be cultivated, the state started receiving increased revenue. All the doubts over the KRS being a success were laid to rest. More so because the supply of power to the Kolar Gold Fields increased. And these were the 6 lines which brought 78 kV electricity at a frequency of 25 Hz to this receiving station here at Kolar Gold Fields. From Dewan K. Sheshadri Hydroelectric Power Station, which is India's first large-scale hydropower station, to this receiving station here at Kolar Gold Fields. Sir M V had estimated that the return on investments would be at least 3% per annum. As it turned out, the direct and indirect returns from the KRS project was 15% on investment, which was 1.5 crore per year those times. The expenditure, initially thought wasteful, was giving more than handsome returns now. Apart from irrigation design, KRS is also unique for its flood control system. These distinctive roundish structures that you see attached with the dam are the wells which work in conjunction with the automatic gates. These special wells are noticed very easily, but what is normally hidden from the eyes are its automatic gates. Because they are installed under the dam, it takes a little effort and some risk too to reach the place where the automatic gates are located. The dam uses 171 gates, of which 48 numbers of automatic sluice gates are the ones invented by Sir M V. All the 48 automatic gates are made of cast iron and were produced at Mysore Iron and Steel Works, Bhadravati. Each one of these gates weigh over 10 tons. Wonder how they slide up and down automatically. And this is how it exactly works. When the water level in the lake reaches the maximum permissible level, water rushes into the well and the float rises up. The balance weight descends down and all the 8 gates are pulled up. The sluice vents then begin to discharge. When the reservoir level falls, the wells get emptied. The balance weight then comes up and the gates descend and discharge is stopped. A complete novelty then. These gates have been copied all over the world, including the Panama Canal. Sir M V's contributions also included a range of other activities which had a direct bearing on the development and modernization of the country. Sir M V's foresight resulted in primary education being made compulsory in Mysore and also led to initiatives for educating girls. Having lived up to the age of 101 years, the engineering contributions of Sir M Visvesvaraya spanned over 80 years as an excellent engineer, a visionary nation builder, and an exemplary human being. Sir M V spoke about the planning model in the first decade of the 20th century. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the architect of modern India, borrowed the idea for planned economy from Sir M Visvesvaraya. Sir MV was the one who showed vision in starting the Department of Metallurgy, Department of Aeronautics, an internal combustion engine at Indian Institute of Science. The Indian Institute of Science, in recognition of his services to the institute and also to the society, conferred honorary fellowship to Visvesvaraya, which he shared with Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Sir C.V. Raman. Sir MV was the General President of the 10th session of the Indian Science Congress Association in 1923. Travelling some 260 kilometers northwest of Bangalore, again in Karnataka, this is Bhadravati, situated on the banks of the river Bhadra in the Shimoga district. Bhadravati was selected by Sir M Visvesvaraya to set up an industrial enterprise because he believed that steel was the basic ingredient to industrial growth. Bhadravati found favour because iron ore could be obtained from Kemmangundi, limestone could come from Badigund, dolomite was available at Shankargudda, and the forests of Shimoga were a huge source of charcoal. And for electricity, the Jog Falls was always there. It was in this backdrop that this unique industrial unit called the Mysore Wood Distillation and Iron Works was set up, and soon it was here that the wood obtained from the forests nearby were converted into charcoal through the process of distillation. A pioneering industrial process, the destructive distillation of wood, was developed at the Indian Institute of Science at the request of Sir MV. Producing charcoal had a very valid reason, because the intended product, the pig iron, simply could not be produced if the iron ores were not reduced in the blast furnace in the presence of coke, which took the oxygen away from the compound. And coke was just not available. The closest was charcoal, which could do the job almost equally well. The only furnace of its kind in India, this charcoal blast furnace, installed in 1923 at Bhadravati, made it the first plant in Asia to undertake manufacture of pig iron using charcoal. These huge stocks of pig iron produced at Bhadravati would constitute the input for making the various grades of iron and steel later. But after a couple of years of production, the enterprise began faltering and losses started mounting. The Maharaja of Mysore had no way but to look for Mokshagundam Visvesvaraya once again, because by the time he had retired from the services of being the Diwan of Mysore state. Time again for Sir Mokshagundam Visvesvaraya to step in. Upon an invitation by the Diwan of Mysore, Krishnaraj Chamarajendra Vodayar, Sir MV joined as the chairman of the board constituted specially to look into the ills that beset the Mysore Iron Works. And here, this used to be his home, where he was born and where he spent his childhood. For the villagers, he is like a messiah who has offered a means of livelihood to their ancestors and the one who went on to be a Bharat Ratna. Sir Mokshagundam Visvesvaraya was also awarded the Knight Commander of the Order of the Indian Empire. His birthday is celebrated as Engineer's Day. But for a boy who lost his father when he was just 12 and who had to support his own education by giving private tuition to students, his life holds a mirror to the times. It's a place kept very well and where a lot of his memories live on.
1923, 5 years afterwards, I was in Bombay. The Diwan of my then Diwan, Mr. Banerjee, came to Bombay, was sent to Bombay by Maharaja, and said, now everybody says I have spent many lakhs of money on this industry, but everybody says it should be shut down. Even the Tatas were saying the same thing. From 1923 to 1927, about 4 or 5 years, I took over and put the whole thing in proper condition and handed back to the government.
Some distance away, this was the school he went to while at Chikkaballapur, where he shifted after a theft in the house at Muddenahalli. And when in Bangalore, Sir Mokshagundam Visvesvaraya studied at the Wesleyan Mission High School, from where he completed his matriculation. It was at the Central College, Bangalore, that he impressed the principal, Mr. Charles Waters, so much that he gifted his personal copy of Webster's Dictionary to Visvesvaraya. It is said of Sir M V that while travelling by train, he felt an unusual vibration while sleeping and thought it could be a broken track some distance away. He pulled the chain. A spot check surprised all. There indeed was a big crack in the rail a few meters away. A major mishap was avoided and a lot of lives saved.